wonderful spot over there, and you're only just, I was down here last night, already as we were setting up, there was a crowd here, and you were saying another beautiful night. I'll come around to the side here so we get the nice light on you.
Yeah.
Another beautiful night. 7 years in the beach house.
Next week.
Yeah. So, but then you're going much further back than that.
Oh, yeah.
So when did this start for you? I know the Latouche years as well.
Yeah. Then we did the old Delgany Inn.
Okay.
Then the Wicklow Arms.
Wow.
The circuit.
And how did it start for you?
I closed an awful lot of places.
Well, this one's putting up a good fight. 7 years.
Yeah.
But how did all this start with you? Was it just something that you did as a hobby? Did it come out of something else, or?
No. Let me get this right now. The daughter of my partner.
Right.
Right. She was working in the bar.
Of the Latouche.
Of the Latouche.
Right.
Yonks ago.
Okay.
And they were doing a quiz, but it was Mickey Mouse version. Right. So she said, "Would you like to take over my 20 questions and all of that?" So I said, "Yeah, why not? Don't mind." So I came in with 15 questions and a music round.
Nice.
Everybody went, "Oh, well, we like that shit." So now I do 40.
Wow.
Ever since then, 40 questions and 10 of a music round. And it covers all genres. You know, all different age groups.
Right.
You know, we got the pops for the kids to stick in 2 or 3.
Right.
Then we have mommy and daddy's type music, you know, the Elvises and the Cliffs and the old,
Nice.
you know, and a few disco-y ones then.
Yeah.
1 or 2 of the 80s. And mixed bag.
No, I should just as an aside, has the advent of the smartphone and especially Google, have you noticed any kind of, is that something you have to almost be watching?
Make the announcement to the effect.
Right.
Before said night begins.
Yeah.
You know, anybody using Google or Shazam will be disqualified or barred from this pub for life. You know, you got to make a joke out of it.
Sure.
You got to be diplomatic.
Yeah. Oh, it's like having people having cameras on during a movie. You kind of have to let them know, camera phones and all that.
Yeah.
Therefore, just let them know if you can. It'd be better if you didn't and all that.
It's called a fun quiz, and that's what it is.
Right. So did you when this started in Latouche now for you, did you know early on this had legs? Because that's
no, of course not.
Right.
And the bingo started much after that.
Okay.
I was on holiday in Spain. I was sitting on the beach and I said, I wonder, to make the night semi-different from your quiz night, will I throw in a bingo as well?
Yeah.
And I bought the bloody machine, which you saw.
I saw it last night, yes.
And I came back with it. Everyone thought this was a great idea as well. You see, while I'm doing the bingo, Aaron, who is with me, he's correcting the sheets.
Ah, nice.
So it's something happening all the time.
Right, you're not waiting an hour or half an hour for something to catch up.
No, that shit. No,
right.
Keep it smooth. You know?
Yeah. Well, you said you had your career is kind of in showbiz, so you'd obviously came at this with a certain degree of you know how to put on a show, so you knew.
Not afraid to talk to the public on a microphone.
Right. And where did that come from? Was that always there? Was that something that
was with the music business?
Right.
You know?
Right. Now, were you a musician or were you just involved in? Ah, nice. So what sort of music or what sort of?
Show bandish. I started in the show bands.
Right.
You know, during its era.
So we're talking about the 70s, or I don't know what sort of era.
During the 70s, I was in the UK.
Okay.
Doing a lot of recordings.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if you remember, maybe these Top of the Pop albums.
Oh,
Pretty Girl.
K-Tel albums, Top of the Pop,
It was the cover versions of said pop numbers of the day.
Right.
As close as we could get it.
Right.
And that was my stable to do that, you know.
Fantastic.
Great experience in the recording studio.
Sure.
Because in them days, the red light went on. There was none of your backing track shit going on.
It was a live recording. You had to get it all right.
Musicians were around you. They had an hour to do it. It was booked for an hour. That red light came on, and baby, you better get it fucking right.
Well, people probably don't realise that in the actual Top of the Pop show as well, they would have like a house band. So if you had David Bowie or anyone in, often for quite a while there, it would be the band in the studio that would record that afternoon with them, but it would have to be not the original record playing, but they'd have to do a vocal performance over a band. So there was that culture then was very much like that with the
In
albums.
Vogue,
People
yeah.
would cover the music. It didn't have to be the original
It
recording.
was great experience.
Right.
You know?
And was that a childhood dream come true, or was it just something you fell
I started
into?
off as when I was a kid. I was born and raised in Singapore, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. That's a strange.
And educated as well.
And it was, family obviously then were kind
Father
of
was
working.
chief inspector of the harbour police.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
After the war, they came out and cleaned up Singapore.
Right.
So.
And would music have come into your life then? Because I don't know, Western pop music
Mother was Dutch, God rest her.
Okay.
Dutch woman, and that's where I got the music from.
Right.
And then, of course, Mr. Presley came on one afternoon. Well, Sue's man, baby. I said, holy shit, I'm gonna have some of that.
Nice. That's a seismic moment, really, in it for a lot of people. It's just that sort of everything just changed. Yeah. Like as John Lennon says, there's before Elvis and after Elvis, really. In many ways, just for
voice he had.
Yeah.
Phenomenal, and what a way to end up.
And
then I worked with various artists during my career.
Right. But you got into it, was it through just like helping, or were you kind of immediately making music yourself? Or, I don't know how you got into it, because it's a tough business no matter what era. Right.
Then.
Yeah. So did you start off as a roadie, or did you start off doing promotions or playing?
No, nothing like that.
Okay.
Straight in the deep end.
Right. Well done. And were you a teenager, 20s, or was it early on in your life?
Yeah, well, as I said, when I was about 16, 17, I was down in Tuam, County Galway, with a band.
Wow.
Did the whole circuit in them days, and the roads weren't as good as they are now.
You're better off keeping to the fields; they're smoother.
So,
but that's a journey, like to be in Singapore and end up in Tuam in a band like
I was in London for a while prior to coming over here. Don't forget, Dad was an Irishman.
Right. So obviously the magnet was there to pull you back,
and then over to Ireland.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But did you think then, because most teenagers would certainly hope and want to do something exciting, and often it's music, or it can be, there's a million things you can be doing, but most just naturally have to sort of, do a 9 to 5 at some point in their 20s to sort of settle down. I don't know whether you knew this
music all the way.
Right.
Music all the way.
Which is a tough life, because it isn't a weekly wage some weeks at all. You don't know what you're going to...
It was a disciplined life.
Right.
And there's one thing I can't abide is unprofessionalism.
Right.
I can't stand it. And I listen to any music.
Right.
If it's well played.
Sure.
Including Irish music.
Yeah, Irish music's great. It either has soul or doesn't have soul. That's all music. The genres kind of tend to be just different colours, and so that sort of rode into music, and then you're recording with the Top of the Pops albums, and so were there any years that you doubted this? Was it particularly tough any time? Right.
Busy.
Right.
Now there was a few things in the early '60s when I hit London. Had my own group, a la Cliff Richard and the Shadows, which was the thing at the time.
Sure, yeah.
And
what was the name of the group?
Mike Fisher and the Dolphins.
Nice. That sounds good. Yeah.
Went nowhere, but we did a few gigs anyhow.
Yeah.
And then one night a man came up and he introduced himself to me, and he says, "My name is Joe Meek."
The great Joe Meek. Yeah.
He says, "I'm forming a band." He says, "I've written an instrumental. Would you be interested?" I don't
Telstar?
think so. I don't think so.
Right.
I said, "What's the name of the piece of music?" He said, "I'm calling it Telstar."
Boom.
It's so fucking...
That was a major number one. Still gets played. But somebody somewhere had to turn down the Beatles, and it's not like everybody's going to say yes to every single thing that comes down the pipe. But yeah, Joe Meek was a one-man kind of industry. It was a little Motown kind of set up for a few years, and
worked down the Holloway Road in London.
Yeah.
Studio there.
So that was that sort of, when you're in that world, at least there is that sort of, you're that close to the center of it all, because if you're getting offered to do an instrumental that becomes a million seller, it means that you're mixing with the right people.
No. I was only 16.
Yeah. And as we all know, like people.
I thought I was fucking great in that. The head was out this size.
So that's sort of, that era must have been very exciting, a lot of fun. I don't know whether there was any kind of turning point that you sort of, I don't know, moving back
then
here.
I came back to. Then Dad came over to brought us over here to Ireland.
Right.
Then he opened up Securicall
Oh, okay.
in Camden Street.
Right.
Right, and he was head book cat there.
Wow.
Right, so, okay. Mickey Drippin then gets into a show band and blah, blah, blah. Did a few years of that. Did a few years of hotel work
Okay.
with your dress dances scenario.
Yeah.
If you remember that.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
part of that show band thing of just sort of having a night package, like,
Yeah,
you know, that you're,
I mean, you worked till 3 in the morning.
Right. Send them home sweating again and again and again. Well, the great thing is that it was a kind of a contained world to it, that
The
there were.
more you clap, the more we play. Even if you fucking want, hey, are you fucking for real?
It's a very dangerous thing to say to drunk people.
And then
Yeah.
into Butlins.
Butlins. Ah, magic.
14 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. There you go. That's an institution too.
Yeah.
There's a. I remember going to it as a kid, and we actually drove all the way down, and it was,
Started off in the ballroom with an orchestra.
right.
Then went into Dan Lowry's, if you remember it.
I'm not sure now. I'll have
The
to check
biggest
that.
pub in Ireland. It was.
Okay. Ah.
1,000 people.
Was that in Dublin? Was it, or where was that? In the side the Butlins thing.
Butlins.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And-
Wow. Oh.
And 1,000 people and the heat and the sweat. Oh, dear.
Yeah, there was no air conditioning in those days. Open the windows, about the best you're going to get. Leave the door open.
Well, hotel work, I did an
Yeah.
awful lot of that. I
Right.
had the pleasure of working with then I worked, as I said, with an awful lot of various artists, English, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And was in the Stardust,
Oh,
right up to the night of the fire.
good God. Right.
Frightening.
Wow.
Yeah. We were in the next room, me and my group. I had a group then,
Right.
still.
And you're performing, or you just out for the night? You're working
No,
the
I was
working the
working
night,
in the
right?
next room, you know.
Good God.
Yeah.
Good God.
God love them.
Yeah, well, those moments that you know, Miami Showband. Now, there's moments where in the history of Irish music that, you know, just tragedies come along in all sort of shapes and sizes, and like life itself, you don't know when you're going to get a flat tire, when you're going to crash, and
But I had the pleasure, as I said, of working with an awful lot of artists.
and was your dad's very very kind of a, you know, obviously there he is in Singapore. He's got a very good position. He opens up Securicor, so very kind of ambitious like yourself. Was he always happy with because, you know, most people, they feel if their children are in music or in art of any
He
sort.
let me do my thing.
Right.
You know.
Because it can be sometimes they know it's a tough world.
See,
They'd
me being
rather
an only child, he didn't want me to be fucking spoiled. So
Okay.
get out there and see the real
look after
world.
yourself and
Yeah.
Right.
You know, rough it a bit.
Yeah, oh, that's
Great
great.
thing.
That's a great thing. Yeah, of course. If you'd be given you know, enough rope to have a bit of, you know, exploration and figure out your own rhythm in
you
your
make
own life.
faux pas as you go along.
Yeah, like turning down Telstar. I'm sure that was something you might have had a chat with you about that.
The next faux pas was great. As I said, I was working for Ready Fusion.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and doing all these
Top of the pops. And,
cover
yeah.
versions.
Yeah.
And one afternoon, the gaffer calls me in, and there was a piano player there. Mike, we've been thinking about you and your career. Oh,
Yeah.
we're very happy. So I said, give me the bad news. No bad news. We think this song will suit you. Oh, yeah, let me hear it. Piano player started. Sha la 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 la. Don't like it.
I'll give that a miss.
Yeah.
Another flop. You know, I'm no fool.
In the same stable, that's the word you use. They had various singers.
Yeah.
It was me, Tony Christie.
Right.
Oh, now we're all young lads.
Yeah.
Desmond Decker, remember him?
Oh, good old Israelites and yeah. Right.
So they made it. I was back. I came back to Ireland.
Right.
And next minute I hear Larry Gogan say, "Now we have this brilliant song by a new singer called Tony Christie." Oh, Jesus.
Find that alongside
do I
Telstar.
Talk about climates.
I'd say a few radios are getting thrown across the room in your house. Turn that crap off. So we should jump to this wonderful. We're talking about 30 years that you've been doing this particular, you know, the quiz nights, and then you brought in the bingo as well. But that's pretty outrageous, you know, because I was even surprised. I should have known, but this was a great Wednesday night institution down here in the Beach House. But then to realise, it goes back even further, that this is...
Oh, yeah.
That must...
It's a hell of a track record.
That must give you a bit of a wobble. You think, how the hell has this happened? Because, you these things seem like you hope they last a few months even, you're kind of happy. But to be hitting nearly 30 years and 7 years now here, do you get sort of surprised by that? Do you ever pinch yourself and think, how the hell has this happened? Because, right. Well, you're great at it, so it's... yeah.
Been there, done that.
Right. And has the culture around it changed? Because, certainly pubs have struggled a lot in the last 10 years especially, and there's been a shift from the pint to the cappuccino, and people tend to socialise in the afternoons. I don't know if that's been sort of a hairy at times where you just can see the change in people's social life, and everyone's in pyjamas usually by 7 or 8 o'clock drinking very cheap wine.
Yeah.
To have a crowd coming out is a hell of achievement. It's a great... did it ever affect? Did you ever feel a wobble? Did you ever feel these are tough times now, people aren't coming out?
I always was lucky.
Right.
Because I had to adapt.
Okay. Yeah.
I've reinvented myself lots of times. You have to.
Well, you're a woman for 2 years, weren't you?
Yeah. No, but and then, as I said, some of the stars I had the pleasure of working with.
Right.
And the hardest working star I ever had the pleasure of working with, and the nicest guy backstage, Cliff Richard.
Right.
A great guy.
He does seem to have that reputation, all right, that he's...
Oh, bullshit.
Yeah. And I think, too, he's comfortable in that, he knows where he fits into the great scheme of things, and he's not, in any way kind of thinking I should be, bigger or more loved or anything else.
The
he's
American
very happy.
Drifters, great bunch of lads. Gene Pitney, you wouldn't think he was in the same room with you. He's so quiet.
Right.
And when he hit that microphone, wow.
Yeah.
And of course, Tony Christie when he came over.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Stardust now.
Sure, yeah.
Now then, during the 70s, I was in a place called Caesar's Palace in Luton. Very upmarket type place.
Right.
You had the likes of people booking in for the week. The following artists, Tommy Cooper.
Oh, wow.
Allen.
Well, holy moly.
Yeah.
Did you manage to touch the hem of Dave Allen? He's one of those great gods. I always think he's a perfect human being.
Went backstage with Dave a few times.
Wow.
God rest him.
Yeah.
And once he heard I was Irish orientated, oh jeez, come in. Not mind these
He's some
English
fresh
focus.
material here to work with, but yeah, he's and Tommy Cooper, of course, one of the greats too, because he was almost, in his own way, he was a surrealist Spike Milligan. He had that ability to be so ridiculously, supposedly clueless, but yet it was, a great awareness of how that would come across.
Then I did the old Chariot Inn here in Ranelagh.
All right.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
The most nervous artist prior to going on stage, I couldn't believe it. He was a total wreck before he went out.
Right.
Dick Henry.
Wow. And again, like a big TV
And
star,
he picked up that mic.
He was flying. Yeah. I mean, I do admire, like, when somebody's quite successful and they're still nervous, because it means they genuinely care, and they genuinely, have this need to satisfy people and make sure that they got a good show.
Alert,
But you would think once you've got, hit TV shows and all that behind you, you could just cruise these things, but...
No. The day you don't feel nervous, get off.
Yeah.
Because that gives you the edge.
Because you don't know any given night what that night's going to be like, and you might have to work very hard to get that crowd on your side, and
Every night's a different night. You can't say it was great last night and I'll be the same tonight.
No.
People would say, hey.
We should wrap up with the fact that my beautiful girlfriend said that the prize money gets very, very high now, with around like 1,000-ish, I think, around last
Christmas time.
Right. Yeah. So that's a case of, if people want to get involved, obviously come down here on a Wednesday night, you can kind of get into the groove of it. Yeah. But I don't know if there's did they have to sign up for that? Is there a huge demand, or do they just sort of basically get involved?
Through the door.
Right, okay. And it's every Wednesday. I don't know if you must need a break every now and again. I don't know if you can.
And when I do, if I'm on holiday, or if I take ill, God forbid.
God forbid, yeah.
A guy by the name of Mossy takes over the sound.
Okay, right.
And if it's not for me, it'll be for Aaron.
Okay.
He steps into the bridge.
Great. Okay.
And
Okay. So it's
I'd
always
like
there.
to thank him as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. A good bit of work involved. I mean, you kind of get into the rhythm of these things, and you almost forget that it is, you know, it's great for people to have this, and it is a little bit of a.
I mean, the management here have been great.
Right. Yeah.
Terry Cullen and his organisation.
Yeah.
Really good.
Well, they've got to love. You know, it's a mutual thing. I'd say they're loving the fact that you are such a reliable, wonderful night for people. That people know what they're getting and they have a good time.
Stone cold sober, and I walk out stone cold sober.
Right.
Not easy. But the job come first.
Of course. Yeah, you got to do your job, and then you can have a drink maybe
That's
afterwards.
why I think that's gave me the edge that I'm lasted so long.
Right.
People don't want to drink, book a drunken bone.
Yeah, and you know what you want the focus, and you want the reliability of it always. That it's just a good night and it's solid, especially when you're dealing with numbers and you're dealing with the quiz and all that. It's not like you're lifting bricks. You have to figure out exactly all the rhythms of what's going on and make sure you.
I haven't had a drink since 1986.
Oh wow, well done.
Been there, done that.
So you're still
all my
laughing.
rage.
You're still laughing a lot. You must have had a lot in your system already because it's you seem to be having a good time.
I mean, you're down in Mosley.
Yeah.
Off the record.
Well, now we're
14 years. You're living with 18 musicians. And it was party night.
Holy moly, you better leave it there before you incriminate yourself. But we'll just wrap up, say every Wednesday night, you're starting around usually 9:30, 10-ish is the kind of
10,
kick-off. Yeah.
10 kick-off.
And you start with, you've got the bingo and then the quiz, and that's the way it works. And then the bingo is...
break for the selling of tickets.
Oh, yes.
Aaron does that.
Right, yeah.
And then we're back with part 2 of the quiz.
Gotcha, right.
Quiz is over, Aaron goes around, collects the papers, then he brings them back to the table, he starts correcting them, and
Nice.
then boys and girls, here we go with the bingo.
Lovely. Jobly, well, we recommend that, and we'll catch you next week, as you say, is your big seventh birthday, so we'll make a big splash for that. But congratulations.